world champions of baseball.
The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you.
Now entering the game for Philly Press Box Radio, Bill Furman and Jim Chet Chesko.
It's Wednesday, August 21st, 2024. Welcome to the Philly Press Box Radio Roundtable, brought to you by the Irish Rover Station House in Langhorne, PA, Cavs, Philly Tailgates, and the Edge of Philly Sports Network. I'm Bill Furman. I'll be your host tonight, along with my partner, Jim Chet Chesko. Chet, the Phillies got their 4 out of 6 wins I said they needed last week. They opened a difficult 13-game stretch with a loss last night against the Braves. The bats didn't show up. The Eagles prep for their final preseason game this week. Some injuries have popped up. As cutdown day fast approaches, plenty to talk about in Philly sports.
Hey, Bill, are you familiar with the line of cleaning products from Formula 409?
Yeah.
Well, it just popped into my head a few minutes ago because this happens to be not show number 409, but number 509 for us. And I'm hoping that one of these days we figure out the formula. I'm kidding. I think we got a pretty good thing going here. So, and it's getting even better and better. But yes, there's lots to talk about on the Philly sports scene as usual. So sorry I digressed there.
I'm better that you go with the 409, 509 than with the pole vaulter.
There will be no pole vaulting segment this week, Bill.
We are glad of that. I promise you.
But I may sneak in a random Chet that will make everybody feel a little bit happier and sunnier.
Are you saying that we're not happy and sunny, and is that based on the way that the Phillies are playing, or are you just cranky now that you're retired?
No, there's a lot of people close to the edge again regarding the Phillies because they just can't seem to get it together. Yeah, they won 4 out of 6 last week, but that was against 2 not so great teams. Now they're playing Atlanta, and they can't seem to beat Atlanta. They're 2-5 against the Braves this year. Yep. Big game tonight for Aaron Nola. Nola has not had great success down there in Atlanta, so we'll see what happens. But I'm in a good mood. I'm good.
Going tonight, and I think Chris Sale's lined up to pitch tomorrow, or are they going to miss him this time around?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
They don't really want to see him. Nobody wants to see him. He's pitching real well. Well, hey, we have a great guest tonight making a return visit to Philly Press Box Radio in Mr. Spring Training, Chris Wheeler. He's going to talk about these Phillies, and then we'll come back, and we got a few other things Phillies-wise we need to talk about because me and you were on different pages, pal, and you know it.
I'm into numbers tonight, Bill, and this is visit number 16 for Mr. Spring Training. Wheels is always a good guest, always great to get his insight.
Yeah, he's always good. He's always on top of it, and he's still a fan. That's for sure. And even though he doesn't work for the club anymore, we don't see him. We did see him this weekend on TV on it for Alumni Weekend, but we don't see him every night. But he is a fan, and he doesn't miss a game, and he's still got his thumb right on the pulse.
Yeah, he's 79 years old. How about that?
Yeah.
And still sharp as a tack, Bill.
Yes, he is. Hey, but before we get to Wheels and the Phillies, Chet, let's talk some Eagles. Some O-line guys getting nicked up a little. Training camp is brutal.
Well, fortunately, the recent injuries don't seem to be all that serious. I think everybody's going to be okay. If not for this weekend, for some who might be playing, certainly by the real opener in a couple of weeks. Hopefully, everybody who is still competing for jobs is good to go this Saturday night in that final preseason game at the Link. You excited about that battle this weekend? The 2-0 Eagles against the 2-0 Vikings.
Could care less. Could absolutely
I know, the wins
care
and losses
less.
don't matter.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see them play well, but you don't need injuries. The Vikings, especially, they're now they have Sam Darnold as their quarterback. They certainly weren't planning on that with J.J. McCarthy being their draft pick and let Kirk Cousins go. So they'll need the work. So we should see a lot from them, I think. For the Eagles, it's getting out of there healthy, and you certainly can't afford to lose anybody at this stage of the game. Get healthy and get out.
Yeah, that is the key. I think I heard Barkley got a little banged up yesterday, but nothing too serious. Today was the final practice. They're just going to do walkthroughs Thursday and Friday. Then, of course, the game is Saturday night at the Link. Speaking of the Link, by the way, there's a lot of activity down in the South Philly Sports Complex area the next couple of days because that Bruce Springsteen is at Citizens Bank Park tonight and Friday.
Yes. And you're going to one
Friday. I'll be there Friday. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a lot of friends there tonight. A lot of friends will be there Friday. Some of them are doing both shows. I don't have that kind of money, Bill. I can't do both.
Well, you retired or you probably would, but I've seen a couple Springsteen concerts. Don't plan on seeing any more of them, but I probably have seen him, I don't know, 6-8 times, something like that. And always a great show, always great energy. And he's 6 years old now?
He'll be 75 this fall.
Yep. Still putting out great music, though.
It'll be show number 12 for me, for people who are keeping track. Getting back to the Eagles, though, I don't know. I'm still on the fence. Do you think they should have played any of the offensive starters, in some of these preseason games?
I don't think so. And the reason that I say that is when they have these mixed practices where they're actually going up and practicing live with the other teams, that's their work. It's not the games. The games are just a money grab, and it's a chance for those young guys to maybe show off and make the squad do something really special, or at least put something on tape for somebody else. The real work's getting done during the week. So no, if they're going to have the competitive practices with other teams, no, you don't play in the games.
Well, remember last year they beat New England in the opener, but they didn't look all that great. They struggled to beat the Patriots. And afterwards, Sirianni said, well, I may have to rethink that whole not playing the starters in the preseason. Well, I guess he did think about it and decided not to play them anyway, at least the guys on offense. And now if they come out and they lose and look bad against the Packers on September 6th, that the people are going to be saying, see, you got to play the guys in the preseason.
Well, until you see somebody laying on the ground who is out for the season, and then you're like, what the heck? Why was he playing? So
that's how it works.
Yeah. I mean, you can't really win in that situation. And those practices are physical practices. I don't know if you watch this, but we talked a few weeks ago about Hard Knocks and the Giants.
Yeah.
Well, that series ended, and now it's training camp with the Chicago Bears. So they've done two shows already, 2 episodes already. And the one real takeaway from those shows, Chet, is there's very little hitting. There's very little full pads. It's almost become we have to get Bob Angelo back on and talk to him about this.
We will. Bob Angelo from NFL Films. He will be back on this fall.
Okay, because there's a lot more storytelling in these shows now than there is football contact.
Yeah,
it's part of the collective bargaining agreement. There's not allowed to be more than X amount of hitting going on in practices. And I think, when you have those combined practices with other teams, you're able to really get after it a little bit, but there's a limited amount. And I think that's why you see what you see in these preseason games with players not playing.
There was some huge news out of training camp today. I don't know if you heard it regarding Jalen Hurts.
He threw a pick.
An interception. Yeah. Now, Elliot Parks, who's with WIP these days, has been tracking practices, for the last several years. Yeah. And according to him, Jalen Hurts had gone 305 straight throws without an interception. A new record for training camp since at least Elliott's been tracking it. Darius Slay, big play Slay, apparently picked off Jalen Hurts today. So that streak is over at 305, and now everyone can turn their attention to something else.
Yeah. Well, I can't say I was following it very much anyway. What goes on in practice, it goes on in practice. And, I am kind of interested to see, my son works in the NFL.
Yeah.
And they are actually having live practices in Cincinnati. So he's getting ready to see, or he has been seeing, they're probably finishing up today. Don't ever get to talk to him during camp because he's just too busy. But get his take on Joe Burrow. Kind of excited to hear what he's got to say about all those practices went and what he thought of Joe Burrow.
Yeah. Yep. Anything else we need to discuss on the Eagles?
I don't think there's much going on. Final cuts are coming. I don't know that we're going to see any surprises. The one thing I did want to mention to you, Dallas Goedert didn't practice again today, injured. He is always nicked up, and I don't know that lingers over into the season. Dallas Goedert could be a Pro Bowl receiver if he could stay on the field, or Pro Bowl tight end if he could stay on the field enough.
Yeah, I didn't hear that. I mean, I don't think it's anything serious, obviously, but he's been something of a disappointment for me the last couple of years, in part because they don't use him enough, in my opinion. I think they should utilize him more. I know they have a lot of offensive weapons, but you got to spread it around. And I'd like to see him more
missed a lot of
involved in the
time. He's missed a lot of time due to injuries. He was going 6 weeks one time. He misses a lot of time. Tough to put a guy in the play plan, in the game plan when he's not going to be there.
Indeed. Hey, one other thing before we move on. We are just a couple of weeks from the start of the Eagles' regular season, September 6th in Brazil, 16 days to be exact from this Wednesday night as we speak. So because the most recent number 16, Quez Watkins, is now a Pittsburgh Steeler, I'm not going to put his picture up. I'm going to put a picture of another number 16 who happened to play quarterback for the Birds more than a half century ago. You know who that might be, Bill?
I do. That's going to be that Norm Snead.
That Norm Snead. And here he is. Norm Snead, he was not a bad quarterback. He played 7 years with the Eagles, and he wasn't bad at all, but a lot of fans for years would lament the fact that to acquire Snead, the Eagles traded away another pretty decent quarterback by the name of Sonny Jurgensen, who had ultimately a much better career than Norm Snead.
If you want to see him, you can go to Canton because he's there.
Yeah. Norm Snead is not there. Norm Snead actually just died last January, so rest in peace, Norm.
All right. Chet, let's give a shout out to all the shows at the Edge of Philly Sports Network this week. As always, the gang has all the bases covered. You can catch all the action on www.eopsports.com, as well as Edge of Philly Sports on their YouTube channel. You can also find our show on the Philly Press Box Radio YouTube channel. Help us out by hitting those subscribe, follow, and like buttons. And as always, share with your family and friends. As you can see, it's loaded up. Phillies, Eagles, lacrosse. We got draft shows. We've got trending in the AM every morning. Phil Stifle still got that thing up and running and tearing it up. Great job by Phil making that happy, making everybody happy. Waking up in the morning to Philly sports. Great job, Phil. Trending in the AM. Don't forget, subscribe to the Edge of Philly Sports Weekly newsletter. Sign up for free, and you'll receive the EOP Weekly Review in your email every Friday morning. Hey, Chet, while we're talking about getting out and about and doing things, what's going on over at the Irish Rover Station House these days?
Well, Bill, the Irish Rover Station House in Langhorne, PA, has Quizzo every Wednesday evening. That's tonight. They have great dinner specials every Thursday through Sunday. Let's see what they have this week. I didn't study this too well. Oh, blackened blue filet and chicken pesto dinner. A couple of good choices right there. The burger wars are continuing from some of their staff. Let's see. This week they have Brittany's B&K burger and Jason's Chop Chop burger. Of course, the Irish Rover also has happy hour specials. And as always, 24 beers on tap. The Irish Rover Station House is on Bellevue Avenue in Langhorne. Oh, by the way, they just announced that they will be having another Oktoberfest this year. That'll be on September 21st, Saturday, the 21st of September. We'll tell you more about that next week. But check the website, IrishRoverStationHouse.com. And Bill, since Tuesday was National Radio Day, Here's Jackie.
It's me, Jackie Bam Bam from 93.3 WMMR, Philly Press Box Radio. Chet, Bill, what are you doing? It's me, Jackie Bam Bam. Hey, Chet, Bill, I love you. All the best. Bye.
There you go. Hey, Mr. thinks that maybe Hurts just trying to make big play Slay feel good. What do you think?
Hey, you never know.
You just never know. Hey, Chet, the Phillies, as we mentioned in the opening, they won 4 of 6 last week against the Marlins and the Nationals. They certainly needed to. Sunday could be in debate on how that ended. They start that 13-game stretch against the Braves last night, followed with the Royals, Astros, and Braves again by September 1st. Those 13 games against those 4 series are going to tell us a lot.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, if the Phillies lose another couple of games to the Braves right here, people are going to really start to wonder, can they let the division lead slip away? Are they going to have to play in the wild card best of 3 series, which are always dangerous? Worked out for the Phillies the last 2 years. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. And this 13-game stretch is certainly a big one.
Yeah, well, and I think although it's important because of the teams that they're playing, they still have a 6-game lead, 5-game lead now, right? 6-game lead, and 12 to go in this stretch. So, I mean, they would have to totally collapse on this trip, and the Braves would have to keep winning pretty much unless they sweep the Phillies out in both those series.
Yeah.
The Phillies should still be in okay shape at the end of this September 1st run, but they certainly have to play better all around than they are right now.
Yeah. If they go 7-6 or 6-7, I'm okay with that because I think they'd still have approximately the same lead in the division, 6 or 7 games, depending how the Braves do as well. But if they are well under 500, then there's going to be some real panic for some people, including this guy.
Well, I mean, the thing is, the 6 losses can't come to the Braves.
Yeah, for sure.
So they've got to compete. They have not done very well competing against the Braves. But hey, we had a chance, you and I, just a couple hours ago, to sit down with Phillies Mr. Spring Training, Chris Wheeler, to talk all things Phillies, and we bounced around on some other things too. Great conversation with Wheels.
Indeed. Here it is. All right, Wheels, let's get right into it. Watching the Phillies over the past couple of months has not always been fun. Since the All-Star break alone, both the Dodgers and Brewers, the other division leaders, are 8 games over 500. Meanwhile, the Phillies, 11-18 since the break, are 7 games under. Now, one of the key issues, and there are several, by the way, is the bullpen. What has happened to the pen, and especially that certain left-hander, Jose?
Yeah, he had a tough game last night.
Oh, man.
He walked the bases loaded and then walk in a run. Yeah, bullpens are volatile. I saw where Sir Anthony threw a walk-off to the Mets again today. 2 out of the last 3 days. So he was one of our guys that he couldn't keep the ball in the ballpark. And Soto was another one. And now all of a sudden, you don't bring anybody out of there. Estevez, you hope, will be, a closer, but you can't bring anybody out of there now that put them down 1, 2, 3. So right when you think you're good or that you're set, and look, when it gets between a guy's ears, there's nothing like baseball to make you nuts. So I don't know. They every time they think that they have him straightened out, you have what happened last night. He can't throw it in the ocean. So I don't know. I don't know what the answer is.
Well, Wheels, do you take a guy in that situation and maybe send him to Lehigh Valley, let him pitch every couple days for an inning, find the strike zone with the idea that, hey, in 2 weeks, we're bringing you back?
They did that to him. They did that to him one other time, Bill. I think it was last year.
And it worked.
And it worked. Look, this guy has shown that he can get people out in the major leagues. Guys don't like to hit off him. But one thing I've noticed, not only the walks, but he doesn't get the swing and misses right now. Now, is he tipping? Is he tipping something? Is there something they can find? He had really done a better job with his cut fastball to go along with as hard as he throws. So, he's a quality relief pitcher who's done it in the major leagues, but those guys are strange. they come and they go, and sometimes they'll have a season and then a bad season. Sometimes they'll have a half season for you. They need him, especially since Soto flamed out. So they needed another power left-hander in that bullpen, and he's not the guy right now.
The new sometimes closer, Carlos Estevez, is a bit scary to watch too sometimes. Seems like his pitches find a lot of bats, and many of them are hit pretty hard. Do you have faith in Estevez?
Well, I haven't seen that much of him, but I see the same thing that you're talking about, Chet. First of all, he's elevated. The ball, he throws up in the strike zone. You throw up in the strike zone, you better have some pretty good gas to get it by somebody. So he's not a guy that's going to come in and throw ground ball double play and those kind of things. Yeah, they've made contact on him way too much for a closer. That's the whole thing. We fight ourselves in baseball because we want more action, and yet every team wants the last 3 innings to have 9 strikeouts. You don't want contact. For a while there with him and with Hoffman, Alvarez, those kind of guys, they were in a whole lot of contact. But now there is a lot of contact. So I don't know. From what I've been told about him, he has a makeup to do it. He's done it before, but our ballpark is not a good ballpark to be a fly ball pitcher.
Yeah. Over on the other side of the ball, the offensive side, a bunch of guys in the skid at the same time, and it's produced a lot of bad innings, bad games. My biggest takeaway, Wheels, watching it is it seems like they always do adjust. The other teams have stopped throwing so many fastballs, slowed the balls down, and we're swinging and missing at them.
Yeah, and Castellanos is not.
Right. And Bohm.
It just shows you how this game will wear you out, won't it? Because Nick was the guy that, what you were talking about, Bill, would be the guy that would chase everything. And now he's pretty disciplined. Now, God forbid I say this, and tonight, Max Fried will throw him all those breaking balls and he'll be chasing him in the dirt all night, even though he's a left-hander. Yeah, look, we talked about it so many times. First of all, it's a really hard game to play. It just is, and nowadays it's so much harder to hit because there's so many more guys with good stuff and throw hard, and they have so many analytics where they can figure you out and get into areas where you just don't hit. But look, we're not going to win if our big boys don't hit. And Schwarber's in a funk right now. Harper's in a little bit of one. Turner hit 4 balls hard last night, even though he took an 0 for 4. He hit it right on the nose last night. But if those guys don't pick it up, you got problems. I mean, Bohm is but Bohm will knock in a ton of runs if they can get them on in front of him because he makes contact. And I've never thought I'd sit here and talk to you about Castellanos making contact. Real Muto's starting to show some signs of playing. And Mitt Merrifield gets a double and a triple last night. Oh, I could get rid of him. Well, everybody wanted to get rid of him. Don't give me that.
Right.
And I know you guys did too.
Yeah.
So let's see how he does the rest of the way. But look, Marsh has been streaky, and then everybody wants to point to Rojas. Says, "How can you have Rojas?" Well, Rojas is fine if the other guys do what they're supposed to do.
Yeah,
because he's improved a little bit, and he's a guy who run the ball down in the outfield. But if all these other guys don't start, what's with his back? He drops his backside a lot now, and they work and work and work and try to make things work. That guy's was a big league hitter and a good big league hitter and a good 2-strike hitter. And right now he has that look in his eyes that I've seen a lot of guys get, like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Hey, you mentioned the 3 guys at the top of the lineup, Schwarber, Turner, and Harper, a combined 0 for 12 last night with, I think, 7 strikeouts. Harper hasn't looked great. He hasn't looked right for a few weeks to me. Is it possible he's nursing some sort of an injury that we don't know about?
I don't know, because they put the lineup out late last night.
Yeah.
And usually that means that somebody's banged up a little bit and they want to see if they can run them out there. I haven't seen tonight's lineup, so that could be, although there's a left-hander tonight in Fried, so that could make some changes anyway.
Stott and Marsh are out. Wilson's in. Sosa's in.
And Sosa, yeah, that makes sense. So Harper's playing.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Real Muto's playing.
Yes.
So, right there makes you think, all right, they're okay. Harper looked like he had really found himself for a while there. His base looked really good. He looked like he was hitting the ball all over the place. And then all of a sudden he's gone into a little funk over the weekend a little bit. And then last night, hey, that guy last night was good for coming off still call it the DL. What do they call it? Injured reserve now. He was good last night. He was throwing hard. He had a great breaking ball, and But to strike out that many, you said 7 strikeouts, and that was with 2 guys, even though you're talking about the 3 of them, because Turner
Yeah.
didn't strike out last night.
Right.
So it was 4 and 3.
Yeah. 10 in 5 innings.
Yes, in 5 innings.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nothing and then 17 up and 17 down at the end.
Yeah.
And say, why didn't you win? Well, nothing happened.
Right. You didn't do anything to win.
Right.
Yeah. Well, the other thing I find interesting looking back at the whole season, obviously there's nothing like winning to put a little swagger in you. But this team with the whole shimmy and all that kind of stuff they had going on, there's no shimmy going on now. There's it looks like a kind of a defeated team. And I guess that comes with not winning.
And you never look good when you're making right turns down to first base too.
Right,
and
right.
they're dragging the bat back to the dugout, so you're not going to be doing a whole lot of shimmying if you're making right turns down there. So I think they're still fine that way. From what I understand, they're a good bunch. They like each other. They don't get on. They don't backbite in there, and fight like that and those kind of things. First of all, teams don't do that anymore anyway. Everybody's best friend. But, I've heard that they're okay with that. So, look, they start going double, double, double. You see 3 shimmies at second base, I think. That's what it comes down to. It's hard to watch right now. They built up this big, big, big 30 game over 500 advantage so that you could go into the funk they're in right now. But there comes a point they got to stop because they got to play Houston next week here. They got to play the Braves 4 more here, and they got to go to Kansas City. And, Bobby Witt's maybe the best player in the game right now. Yeah. So they got to figure something out.
Hey, Wheels, did you ever shimmy?
No, they asked me about that when I did that inning the other night. And
really?
I said I might blow a rib cage or something, or a hammy. I guess I could do that back in the old days when I drank a little bit, but not now.
Hey, let me put up the standings right here. You see the division leaders, the Dodgers now ahead of the Phillies. The Brewers and the Phils are tied the same record. I believe the Phils actually have the tiebreaker against Milwaukee because they swept them. But, San Diego and Arizona right on their tails as well. They're in danger of falling down to the 3rd seed. And, of course, the top 2 division winners get the first round bye. But if you're in that number 3 spot, you got to play the number 6 team, which would be the 3rd wild card team, which in this case would be the Braves. I know it worked out for the Phillies the last 2 seasons, but ideally you want to, have a first round bye, do you not?
Sure. And the Phillies have the tiebreaker with the Dodgers too.
Yes, they do.
So yes, look, the Braves will tell you, maybe you don't want to have the off time the last couple of years because they came in and Phillies knocked them off. I can't answer that question. What's better? What's better is that you're hot at the right time. And if you go into a funk at the wrong time, like they did last year against Arizona at the end, then you're going to lose. And Arizona is very hot right now. Corbin Carroll's starting to hit home runs. They have a really, really good team, and they showed that to the Phillies when they went out there and beat them 3 out of 4 in the desert. So, with this seeding whole thing, Chet, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. Ideally, you would think, the best thing you can do is have them 3, 4, 5 days off and set your pitching up the way you want and all that. But the Phillies have shown over the last 2 years, didn't matter. Yep. So I don't know. You just have to be playing well at the right time.
Wills, I'm a firm believer that players have to make plays. No matter what sport you're in. But I'm also a firm believer in the old Andy Reid saying is you need to put your players in positions to be successful. What do you make of some of the recent Rob Thompson decisions to help make this team successful?
Well, first of all, I'm very fond of him personally. So, and I'm not everybody that I know in that clubhouse and the broadcasters and in front of rave about. Everybody likes him. All the players like him. Everybody that does what you guys are doing right now or is a fan knows more than the manager. And we all know this. And it's one of the great charms of the game. I don't know that you can second guess where you go football and you're yelling some guy's holding and then you go out in the parking lot and you can't find your car, right? Those kind of things. So there's nothing like baseball to second guess. And the guy you second guess is the manager. Now, his thinking was very sound, in my opinion, over the weekend to give guys a day or two. But when you come back flat like they did on Tuesday night, then it doesn't look so great. So Look, Larry Bow and I are still very close, and he just absolutely loves Rob Thompson and the way he handles the clubhouse, the way he handles the players, the way he handles the media, and the way he handles the fans. There's always going to be situations in a baseball game that people are going to second guess because as I said, it's the game that we all think we know more than the people that are running it. And I think it's one of the great charms of baseball is that you're able to do that because it's played by normal sized human beings. And a manager has so many decisions that he has to make that we look. I live with them for so many years, and I know what they go through in that chair, and when they can't say something about somebody, and when they have to do something for a reason. So I like Rob Thompson a lot. I think he's the right man for this situation, and obviously, if he is going to manage games in the city of Philadelphia, he is going to be open to second guessing, and you know how he handles it? Pretty well.
Hey, Wheels, it was a great weekend at the ballpark. You were on TV a bit. It was just so great to see all the old players in town, and they honored Dave Montgomery, of course, Saturday night. Tell me about your relationship with David Montgomery. I've never heard anybody say a bad word about that guy.
When you get me, I get choked up right away. I get me out of being choked up, as I say, when a pain in the butt he was playing golf because he was so competitive. Chad, he was everything you hear about that man. Look, he and I had a relationship that we were best friends, but he got mad at me sometimes. He didn't like what I said on the air. He didn't like what I would tell him about a player. You know, well, the guy's nice to me. I said, of course he's nice to you. You own the club. I mean, you're the owner. You run the thing. So um, he made great decisions, honest. And that thing about when you hear he knew everybody's wife's name and kid's name and the ushers and people, he did. It was uncanny. First of all, he was incredibly intelligent without acting like he was. He was brilliant. The Wharton MBA that he was. He was just a good person. I mean, listen to Rob Manfred talk about him, how important he was to him. When David was doing the negotiations in the strike years and everything, they wanted to be the commissioner at one time. So I lost a great friend. I still miss him so much, and I think that was just what John did and the Phillies did, and Monty's angle. That was great.
Yeah.
He'd have hated that, but that was his idea. I mean, he loved he was a Connie Mack Stadium kid like me, and that Connie Mack Stadium had angles, and he loved the crazy stuff that would happen there. So that was his idea to put that out there. One of the great people you ever want to meet, and I hope you guys had some interactions with him, and you know what he was like.
Yep.
Hey, Wills, it's always great when those guys, everybody comes back together for that alumni weekend, and I'm sure there's a lot of stories, and they keep getting better every year. I had an opportunity just last month. I saw Pete Rose, and
yeah,
you and I or you and us have talked about Pete in the past and your relationship with him. I saw him in Cleveland at the memorabilia convention. Actually got to talk to him for a few minutes, which was kind of neat. 82 years old now, Father Time catching up to him just a little bit. But I followed that up with watching that 4-part series on HBO Max, I guess it is.
Yeah.
Did you see that? And if you did, what do you think of how that whole story went?
First 2 episodes I've seen, and it's pretty accurate. Look, I lived through it with him being the manager of the Reds and me going in his office, and I didn't say a word to him about it. He looked me right in the eye and said, I didn't bet on baseball. This is before he finally admitted that he did. So, look, the guy is one of the most competitive human beings I've ever been around. He loved action. I don't think he bet against his team. I don't know if he bet for his team. He's his own worst enemy. As you know, we had him all set to come back to put him on the Wall of Fame.
Yeah.
We had a bobblehead and all that. And you know what happened with that? I don't want to go into all that. I've been around him. I did a show with him down in Clearwater a couple of years ago with Booney and Bull and Boa and Pete. And we did a show at a theater down there with a live audience. He was great. But he has no filter. And a lot of people, the older they get, they really don't have any filter. So he's one of those people that, you saw it in the show. He just blurts stuff out.
Yeah.
He doesn't care anymore. Hey, it's like I said something that night. He said something about gambling, and I started laughing and looked over. He said, Wheels, what are they going to do? Ban me from baseball? Good
Right.
answer. So I'll never say anything bad about him. I love the guy. I learned so much from him. He was so great with us. He'd sit down beside you on the bus after a game, and he'd ask me questions. What do I think happened in this inning? And I'm wondering, what do I think happened? What do you think happened? But he wanted to pick your brain about it. And the people that he respected, he would sit and talk the game with you.
I thought the baseball portion of the show was fantastic.
Yeah.
The highlights, the memories, and all that stuff. But boy,
They wanted
what a crazy life.
Well, they wanted to dig into it. Evidently he must have said that you can ask me anything, because some of the stuff and a couple of times he went, "What are you doing?" Yeah. But look, he has opened himself up to a lot of controversy. But as a player, boy, he could play, and he was a winner as a player. He didn't have the greatest ability, but he had one of the biggest hearts. And he could really hit. He could really hit. And as he said, and he says in that show, I was a winner. And he was a winner.
Yeah.
Well,
One
final
I'll
be
comment
watching this weekend. Can't wait to see that now.
Yeah. One final comment on that. Was, now, obviously I'm a huge Pete Rose fan too, but I felt like because he bet on baseball, he shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. Now baseball's in bed with the gambling, and you can't get through a batter without knowing what the odds are of them getting a hit. I've changed my opinion on that.
Yeah.
If what do you think?
Well, one of the many reasons I'm glad I'm not on the air anymore is I feel bad every time Tom has to do one of those things. But what are you going to do? It's revenue. Every sport has it, as you said. Here's the thing, unless they change this. My first day at Veterans Stadium was July 5th, 1971. I was Larry Shank's assistant. He just hired me. We get out of the clubhouse to meet Frank Lucchese and some other people. He walks me over to the bulletin board. You guys have been in big league clubhouses. It's right there, this big thing in black. I don't have to explain it to you. He said, read that. He said, if you gamble on baseball, you're making 10. He didn't give me this whole lecture, but you're making 10 grand. You're my assistant. You're gone. That's the rule. It has been the rule until they change that. No, he can't get back in. He's not going to get back in.
Yep. Wheels, one last thing. Next week on our show, we're going to talk a little Penn State football. And I just want to find out, how are you feeling about the Knits ahead of the 2024 season?
Well, what is it? The Big 20 now? The Big 18? Or what?
Almost.
I mean, that's not the little sisters of the poor they brought in, to play in that conference right now. I mean, Penn State has to make a trip to SC this year and play Washington at home. And Ohio State is so good. And of course, Ohio State just had to go out and bring in all these transfers that are going to start for them. Penn State will have a good football team. Are they, the last few years, they would have been a playoff team in this new system. I would hope that they're they're always open on the road. Always, it seems. And against somebody good. People go, West Virginia. They're playing West Virginia in Morgantown. That's a hard game if you're a college football fan and have a clue. So, but they have really good players. I think they did a great job replacing their coordinators. Steve Jones and I do shows together. You guys know Steve Jones, what a great broadcaster he is. And he has become, we've become best friends in the last 15 years. And we talk on and off the air. And I can tell that he's excited about this team and is excited about the two new coordinators for offense and defense. So they've recruited well. They have great athletes. They have a much better offensive line. Do they have the skill players on the outside to open the game up? They have the running backs, but they could not open the field up last year. They could not get the ball down the field to wide receivers. They think they're better at that position this year until Cam Wallace is a really good player. He gets hurt all the time. So we'll see what happens with that. But those two running backs, and they have a third running back that they're going to have in the rotation this year. Yeah. And from what I understand with his Colton Nicky, he'd throw to an offensive tackle if he could.
Yeah.
So they're going to do everything they can to get these skilled players and impact players the football. On defense, very good athletic defense again. So they should be a good team.
Are you making your annual trip to Happy Valley or you give them up?
I haven't been up there, Bill, since since COVID, since 2019 was the last time I was up there. They beat Michigan. It was a beautiful thing.
Well, I'll be there. I'll be there to see the Buckeyes.
Nice. Well,
I haven't been there in years either.
I can look. I'm spoiled. I used to sit in this box, box upstairs. I don't have that privilege anymore. I'm not sitting out in the stands. I'm a prima donna, I admit it. And I don't have my contact in the Nittany Lion Inn anymore because that's now a private enterprise.
Right.
So as of right now, no. And I missed the trip. And I'm still, even though I'm 79 now, I can still really walk. So that doesn't bother me. But I don't have the contacts and I'm spoiled rotten. So right now, no.
Good deal. Well, Wills, we are about out of time. We certainly appreciate you joining us as always on top of the Phillies, certainly, and Penn State football.
Well, Bill and Chet, I always enjoy being with you guys because you're real. You know the game, you know the sport. You ask the good questions. I can't always answer everything, but I do my best.
And we appreciate you for it, my friend.
Okay, guys. Anytime, keep in touch.
Great conversation with Wheels, Chet.
I got to tell you, I thought that was a fantastic chat that we had with him. When we posted, advertising about this interview, there were a couple of haters out there that said nobody likes Wheels. I'm in the minority maybe, but I think he is a fantastic interview. He always gives you thoughtful, honest answers. I mean, whether you agree with him or not about Topper, his answer was terrific about Rob Thompson. He likes the guy, and it's a tough job, and I love what he said.
Yeah, I always liked him when he called the game, when he was in the booth. A lot of people seem to think that he acted like a know-it-all kind of guy. I didn't feel that way.
I didn't either.
I thought he called the game the way it was supposed to be called. And then there was a whole that Harry Callis stuff and all that, which none of that was true.
Right.
That was made up, some crazy social media, wherever it came from. But Wheels has been great with us, and I enjoy him. As for the Rob Thompson situation, though, let's back up just a second because we got one extra minute.
Okay.
What did you think? Now, to a good point of our conversation, if Harper was hurt or Real Muto was hurt, what did you think about not going with one or both of those guys in the ninth inning on Sunday?
Yeah, I disagree with it. I know it's Thompson's philosophy that when he tries to give one of his starters a day off, he likes to give them the full day off, especially when it's in connection with a true day off for the entire team the next day or the previous day. So he wants to give them that full 48 hours of rest. But in a situation like this, where you're trying to have the best record in the National League and you're in a tie game or a game that you're down by just a run or two, and you have, the tying or go ahead run up at the plate, I think you got to make that move. You don't want to put up Cal Stevenson or Garrett Stubbs and hope that they get a hit.
Especially when you got the first guy on base. You got the first guy on base too. Yeah. So the game was in reach.
Yeah, and then Stevenson hits into the double play. Yeah, that would have been a perfect opportunity for Harper or Realmuto, I would think.
Yeah, and if they're hurt, if they're nicked up and they needed a day off, that certainly could sway your thought there, but we didn't know that. Then last night, I don't know if you saw the Rob Thompson interview on Post Game Live when he was questioned about why he left Alvarado go for all four walks, and I get it. He was trying to build some confidence and get Alvarado back in the, throwing strikes and doing the right things. Is it a 2-1 game against the Braves when you want to do that? Or would you rather throw strikes in a 6-2 game and just come in and throw strikes? Not a wise decision on my part.
Well, I know it
didn't affect the outcome of the game, though.
You never want to see Alvarado out there anymore, and I understand that because it's always a crapshoot. And I mean, the last 2 months he's been horrible. He's got an ERA, I think, over 7, and he could not find the plate last night. After he walked the bases loaded, I had the hunch that he was gonna, either give up a big hit or another walk, and sure enough, it happened.
Well, the thing with Alvarado, and I've said this for 3 years, he is consistent. when he is bad to the first hitter, he's going to be bad. And when he comes in and blows out that first, throws strikes, blows that guy down, he's going to be good. Last night, you could tell right from the start he didn't have it. You know, and like I say, it didn't affect the outcome of the game because they only scored one run. It was 2-1 at the time. But I guess back to my point, is this the time to get him right when you're playing the Braves in a 2-1 game and you're still having a bat coming? I'm not thinking that was the best strategic move in my mind.
I'm with you. And one thing we didn't get to talk to Wheels about is the fact that Ranger Suarez is expected to return to the rotation this weekend, and he'll be on a pitch count of probably 75, 80 pitches first time out. But man, if he's right, that would be a huge boost to the rotation because
he has to be right. He has to be right. They really do need him in a big way. And I think Christopher Sanchez is going to be fine. Nola is going to be fine.
Oh, Wheeler, Sanchez was great the other day.
Yeah, Wheeler was great last night.
Yeah.
So I think you're solid there. But who knows what's going to happen with this 5 spot? Taijuan Walker is not going to be the answer. It doesn't look like. So they got to be strong with Ranger. He's got to be good.
Hey, I know you're going to ask me about Cav and what's going on with Cavs catering, but
I am.
Before we do that, I got something that I'm going to do in a few minutes, right after we talk about Cav and all that.
Do tell.
I want people who are watching live, the live show, to give me your top 2 or 3 songs that have either sun or sunny or sunshine in the title. I told you I want to get everybody feeling bright and happy tonight, and there's a reason for this. But give me 2 or 3 songs. You can comment over on the right of the screen with your 2 or 3 favorite songs with sun or sunny or sunshine in the title, and I'll get back to you on that.
All right. Well, in the meantime, I am going to talk to you about Bob Cavanaugh and the gang at Cavs Tailgate, Philly Tailgates. Tell us what's going on because it's time. It's football time.
Yeah, Cavs Philly Tailgates, as you know, has been cooking up a terrific catering business now for 35 or so years. You know Cav for his tailgate parties. Well, Cavs Philly Tailgates is a 3-time winner of the Philly Tailgates, Jack Daniels Great American Tailgate Party Contest, and a past winner of the Philly Daily News Tailgate Award. Cavs also does corporate events and parties. And coming up, Cav will be catering all the Eagles home games, the first 4 of which, not counting the game in Brazil, Eagles Falcons, Eagles Browns, Eagles Jags, Eagles Commanders, 1 in September, 1 in October, 1 in November, another one in November. And man, I've been to some of these. Cavs puts out a great spread, terrific food all the time. Check the website, phillytailgates.com, for pricing and more info about upcoming events. And if you have questions, you can email them at cavscatering@verizon.net. Cavs Philly Tailgates is the way to go. Well, Cav also works with Vince at Philly Sports Trips. They're the guys who handle all of the Birds road trips. And yeah, that includes the home game in Brazil and all the other games that the Eagles will be playing on the road this season. There are trips. Some of them are just, day trips. Some are 2 or 3 nights, but always a good time. Plus, there are some shorter trips. And then there is a Philly spring training trip next season. That's always a good time. Look at these guys that we have there. And look, Jason Worth is the special guest for spring training next year. Get all the details on that at phillysportstrips.com.
Very good.
And Bill, with that in mind, taking trips and enjoying the weather, I think it's time.
All right. You only have Jane that responded to your request.
Well, come on, people. There's still time. Give me 2 or 3 songs with sun or sunny or sunshine in the title, and we will discuss in just a few minutes.
Sunshine when she's gone.
Oh. Say that again, Bill.
Ain't no sunshine when she's gone.
Yeah, that's a good one for sure. There you go. Here we go. You may remember back in early or mid-July when it was really, really hot here in the Northeast. For the fun of it, I made a list of my absolute favorite songs with hot or heat in the title. My top 3 being Hot Legs, Heat of the Moment, and Hot Blooded. Well, the other morning I was watching the Today Show, and it happened to be weatherman extraordinaire Al Roker's 70th birthday. And with the weather this week just beautiful, Sunny and pleasant every day in the Philly, New Jersey area. I decided to make a list of my favorite songs with sun, sunny, or sunshine in the title. And believe me, there are a slew of them, 50 or more that either I thought of on my own or discovered thanks to the internet. But I somehow managed to whittle it down to my top 15. Not easy. All right, I ended up having to leave out a bunch of really great songs. Yeah, the songs on the list here being left in the honorable mention category, tunes including classics like The Fifth Dimension's Aquarius, Let the Sunshine In, John Denver's Sunshine on My Shoulders, Sheryl Crow's Soak Up the Sun, and Donovan's Sunshine Superman. Oh, on a side note, when I was putting my list of favorites together yesterday, I quizzed my wife about songs that, might fit the sun, sunny, sunshine category. And she mentioned a few that I had already jotted down. And then she said, "Oh, Sunday, Bloody Sunday by U2." And without thinking too deeply about it, I said, "Oh, yeah, how did I miss that one?" And then she laughed and said, "Yeah, there's really no sun or sunny in that title, right?" And I had to admit, I didn't catch that right away, so she got me. But I digress. All right, let's get to my top 15. The 11 through 15 slots, all great ones, from Bill Withers' Ain't No Sunshine to The Doors' Waiting for the Sun to Elton's classic Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me. Yeah, that tune just missed my personal top 10. I know, shame on me. Here you go, that top 10 of mine. I love all of these. I really, really do. Weezer's Island in the Sun at number 10. Smash Mouth's Walking on the Sun at number 9. The Beatles' Good Day Sunshine is 8th. Almost cracking the top 5, Jonathan Edwards' early 70s hit Sunshine, and that great Kinks tune Sunny Afternoon, classic. The top 5, well, the awesome Cream song with the killer opening bass line, Sunshine of Your Love. That's number 5. Then Stevie Wonder's terrific 1972-73 chart topper, You Are the Sunshine of My Life. Such a good song. Something a bit more recent and heavier is at number 3 for me, Soundgarden's Black Hole Sun. In the second spot, George Harrison and the Beatles' great Here Comes the Sun. And number 1, not just because it's a go-to sing in the shower song for me, but also because it's just an amazing tune, The Animals' House of the Rising Sun. All right, that's my list. And if you think there are a lot of songs with sun or sunny or sunshine in the title, just wait till I tackle songs with rain or storm or wind in the title. Hey, enjoy this week's sunshine. Thanks for watching.
Very good. Fun thing to put together. That's for sure. House of the Rising Sun. How could that go wrong, right?
Yeah, a couple of people did mention that one, and that is one of my all-time favorites by the Animals in the 1960s, based on some old tune or poem from New Orleans, like a couple of hundred years ago, actually. How about that?
There you go. Hey, I have a few random thoughts for you myself, but before we get to that, we had a great guest tonight in Chris Wheeler, who's coming to Philly Press Box Radio next week. It's football season.
Yeah, we're going to talk a lot of football next week, Bill. First thing, we're going to have a guy who covered the Birds for some 30-plus years before calling it a day back in 2017. Mark Eckel, while mostly retired these days and living a good life down in South Carolina, Mark does do some writing and reporting about those Green Bay Packers. And with the Eagles and Pack opening the season in Brazil on September 6th, we thought it would be a good time to have Mark back on with us. Then our second guest, we'll talk more football, including lots of Penn State football. He was a lineman on that undefeated 1994 Nittany Lions team, and he now does a weekly radio show and podcast out in State College. It's Goon, Keith Conlon. And, this is very, very important, everybody. Next week's show will air at 1 p.m. Eastern time on Wednesday. 1 o'clock in the afternoon due to somebody having a commitment in the evening. So we will remind you several times about that. The show next week with Mark Eckel and Goon Conlon, 1 o'clock in the afternoon Wednesday. You can watch it anytime, though.
Hey, Chet, maybe we could put that back on at 7 o'clock too, right? Can't we?
We could probably do that and trick people into thinking that we were live a second time in the day.
Yeah, we make it do that. We'll make it happen. Hey, a few random thoughts for you. I'm going to jump back to baseball.
Go ahead.
What do you think of the discussion about Major League Baseball thinking about making it mandatory to starting pitchers go 6 innings, unless some stipulations come into play about giving up runs and throwing pitches and blah, blah, blah. I think they need to stay out of it.
I think I agree with you on this one, Bill. We disagree often, but I agree with you on this one. Some of those instances, yeah, if you throw 100 pitches, then you can be taken out. If you give up 4 or more, I don't know if it's runs or earned runs, you can be taken out. Or if you get injured, though, then you would have to go on the IL to show that you are indeed injured. But I think it's ridiculous. Now, the one positive thing is we would not have to see any more of those bullpen games where they go with, what's the word? The opener. I hate that. The opener.
Yeah.
Okay. That I don't like. But yeah, this is a silly rule.
Yeah, I agree. And
it's just in discussion, as you said.
Yeah, it's in discussion. And I haven't heard anybody that thought it was a good idea, except that they want to get rid of bullpen games. And that's the only positive to it. But, you know, if you have a guy in there in the 4th inning and he's getting lit up, you know, I guess when he gets to the 4 runs, you can take him out. But there isn't enough talent. There's not enough pitching on everybody's team to make guys be starters that aren't starters.
Yeah, so I'm hoping this doesn't happen.
Yeah, another random thought. For those that didn't see it, the Oklahoma State football Cowboys are going to have QR codes on the back of their helmets. So as you're sitting there watching Saturday football and you have a lot of extra money in your pocket, you can scan the QR code and send a donation to Oklahoma State football right there on your screen or on any still picture they show with the QR codes. I cannot tell you how much I hate that.
Yeah, I don't hate that as much as you. I think it's silly, admittedly, but you said on Facebook that you think it's like ruining the game or another thing that's ruining the game. It's not going to have any effect on the actual game. It's just a little annoyance, but
Well, it's not going to have any effect on the game, but, you know, and I can't speak for Oklahoma State, but you could have Buckeye people donating millions of dollars in the middle of the game to the football fund. I just think it's ludicrous. It's nuts.
Yeah, like I said, it's not the best thing in the world, but it doesn't bother me. It is what it is. By the way, separately, the QR code and the whole scanning thing is one of the greatest inventions in the world, but it might not be long on football helmets.
Yeah, I'm not a real fan of that. One last thing for me on my random things.
Yes.
Following this show at 8:05, you know I love college football. 8:05, I'll be on the Out of the Box Sports Network with Paul Spencer talking college football. Tonight we're covering the ACC and Notre Dame football as we wrap up our preseason stuff and get ready for the opening week next week. So jump over to Out of the Box Sports. Check us out. We go about 8:05 as soon as we're finished here, and we jump over there, and we make that happen, go till 9 o'clock.
All right, couple of final things from me because I'm the pop culture guy. There is a new movie in the works about John Madden, and Nicolas Cage is going to play John Madden. This is happening, folks. So kind of curious casting, but hey, if it's about John Madden, I think Nick Cage is a great actor, so we'll see if he can tackle this one. Secondly, I know, Bill, you're quite saddened by this news. J-Lo and Ben Affleck have split up again. They did so 21 years ago, never actually tied the knot back then. They got married finally 2 years ago this summer. They've been living separately, though, for several months, and now it's official. They are getting divorced. Try to contain your disappointment on that one, Bill.
Well,
okay?
I will just add that she's 50 whatever. She is still stinking hot.
Oh,
and
she's a beautiful woman.
I'm just going to go with
woman.
that.
Yeah, you're not wrong there. And as I said earlier in the show, Bruce Springsteen is in Philadelphia tonight. That's not a picture from tonight, but Bruce is there tonight, packed house at Citizens Bank Park, and I will be there seeing the boss on Friday. So whoever is going, have fun and enjoy.
All right. With that, let's wrap it up. Thank tonight's special guest, Chris Wheeler. Our sponsors, the Irish Rover Station House, Cavs Philly Tailgates, PPCC 118 Raz Room. For Jim Chet Chesko, this is Bill Furman. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll join Philly Press Box Radio next Wednesday, August the 28th at 1 p.m. and maybe again at 7 p.m. You can see us live on Facebook or on our Philly Press Box Radio YouTube channel. Listen on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and all the others. High hopes, Philadelphia sports fans, and let's go Phillies.